All right, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, guys? We will begin the stream in about 3 minutes here. So if you're watching on the replay again, you can skip ahead. But I'll see you guys in about 3 minutes here. And what the heck? The StreamYard just reorganized all my stuff. That's stupid. But yeah, see you guys. So true. I'm telling you, NEWSOM nationalism, literally the future of the Republican Party. You cannot stop it. Yo, look, I'm the baby now.
This monument will never be desecrated. These heroes will never be defaced. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
John, thoughts on VinceDao nationalism?
Oh, I mean, I've been campaigning that for the better part of 3 years now. Before I even knew Vince, it actually appeared to me in a dream, and I just sort of been trying to like subtly, when they say John Doyle dog whistles, he does, but not in the way they think. It's always about VinceDao nationalism. They sound like a white nationalist. No, I'm a VinceDao.
Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo as long as we are led by politicians who will not put America first. Then we can be assured that other nations will not treat America with respect, the respect that we deserve. The American people will come first once again.
Millions of Americans sincerely love Donald Trump. They love Donald Trump because no one else loved them. The country they built, the country their ancestors fought for over hundreds of years, has left them to die in their unfashionable little town, mocked and despised by the sneering half-wits with finance degrees but no actual skills who seem to run everything all of a sudden.
All right, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so this has basically become a tradition at this point, which is that at the beginning of every single stream, all you guys just collectively go on about once again, the false, frankly, anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that is 714. Okay, and people are now accusing me of censoring people, with statements in 714. I can assure you, I will actually prove to you right now that is literally not happening. Okay. I mean, you go here. I don't know. I don't know if a mod did it. Okay, maybe a mod, one of our mods was doing that. But I can assure you personally, look, did I censor any comment? No, I did not. Okay, so it's just so false. It's just not the case. All right, why would I censor anything when I have nothing to hide? I mean, I literally have nothing to hide. So it's just so true. We know this to be the case. We know it to be the case that 714 once again is not a real thing that happened. But even if it was the case, like, what do I look like? Would I look like big tech to you? Would I look like a libtard to you? We're not censoring anything. Okay. So that's a conspiracy theory. But anyways, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the live tonight. I actually was going to post a video today, but, it's a long story, okay? Basically, the rendering time on my computer was just freaking out, and I'll just have to post it tomorrow. I don't know. So I did still want to get some content for you guys because, I'm like dedicated like that. So I figured tonight, since you guys do ask me about this sometimes, we're actually going to go over a little bit on, the kind of the current state of the California recall. Obviously, I do live in California currently. I will actually be out of California by the time the recall happens, so I probably won't vote in it. I mean, I'll look. Maybe there might be a way I can kind of like keep my residency and then change it, but to be honest, I'm probably not going to. But it is still an interesting race. It is still my home state. I do have some connection to it. Now, what I think needs to be said about this race, obviously it's California, so we'd obviously all expect, well, it's going to be pretty hard to get a Democrat out of office there. It's Gavin Newsom, whatever. But what I will say about the current state of this race is that Gavin Newsom at this point really does have genuine reason to be worried. Like, it's not just like, oh, it'll be bad optics or whatever, it comes within 10. This is, when you look at the current state of this race, this is a race that genuinely is basically even. And I would argue the way the current polls are, if the current polls are accurate, and it is kind of hard to gauge because something like a recall is not very precedented, right? It doesn't happen that often. So it's hard to gauge, like, you use kind of precedent when it comes to the polls. But if these polls are accurate, I mean, I would actually say that right now, as it stands, now we still have a month to go, but right now as it stands, Newsom is probably more in a position to actually get recalled more than not. But we'll take a look right now. We got more 714 in the chat. Wow. We just hate to see it. Hate to see so much of this wonderful fan base fall for such ridiculous conspiracy theories. We hate to see it. But anyways, the reason I bring that up is because you're seeing a lot of polls like this. Polls showing, and Emerson College is actually, I believe, a more generally left-leaning poll. I'm not actually sure on that. But even so, I would say even if it's slightly right-leaning, this is still crazy to see that you're seeing the race within 2 points, essentially, right? You still have some from some other polls coming out recently this week. They show it within 3 points, right? 5 points. And the thing is that, obviously you account for the fact that polls generally overestimate Democrats a little bit. And more importantly, I would say you have to account for turnout. That's what people are missing with this recall, is that, you just think about it for a second. It is true that if basically every person in California or every normal voter in California actually showed up to vote, yeah, Newsom would survive the recall. But the issue for Newsom is going to be turnout. Is he going to be able, are enough people going to really be able to turn out that are like hardcore loyal Democrats that are going to want to keep this guy in office? And realistically, the answer to that is going to be no. You're just going to see far better turnout when it comes to the pro-recall people as opposed to the anti-recall people. And I can tell you, just being on the ground and stuff, there isn't really a lot of enthusiasm for the for the no vote, right? For the anti-recall people to keep them in office. There really just not a lot of mobilization going on. There's not a lot of enthusiasm. Not a lot of people are saying, oh, we're going to really show up and keep Newsom in office. And obviously Newsom is trying to frame this as being like a pro-Trump Republican partisan effort. But to be frank, that doesn't seem to be that effective so far. And so if it is the case that, like, organically, and I'm not sure if this is actually likely voters or registered voters in general, but even either way, I would say it's still grounds for concern, really. You look at this. If it is genuinely within 3 to 5 points or 2 to 5 points, if the polls are accurate, I would say, based on turnout alone, based on the fact that, Newsom, the pro-recall people are going to turn out at a higher ratio, and the anti-recall people aren't going to really have the same energy. Based on that alone, I would argue that if the race really is within 3 to 5 points, you're looking at a more likely scenario than not, actually, that Newsom just ends up getting recalled entirely. We got, let's go, Carter Shaw. We got Carter Shaw became a member. We love to see it. All right. Shout out Carter Shaw. Now, again, with exclusive access to a lot of cool stuff, which you can check by clicking the join button. But how do I do that? If you want to become a member, I think it's right next to the subscribe button, where the subscribe button is. You can actually become a member that way. Member supremacy. It is just so true. We love to see it. So let's go over this a little bit. Let's go over like what this is going to look like. Now, what I will say is that the recall is September 14th. So we are still a month away, and I would expect most likely that Newsom's approval rating is going to increase between now and the end of next month. And the reason I say that is because it is true that the Democrats have nationally, right? This is a national effort. Newsom is part of kind of the Democrat establishment. So he has gotten a lot of fundraising through that end. It is true that there's a lot of money. There's actually more money in play to basically protect Newsom, and that's coming from the Democrat base nationally. Then there, and a lot of us, I shouldn't say the base, is really coming from PACs and stuff like that. And you haven't really been seeing that spent yet, right? They haven't really spent that money yet. They're kind of just sitting on it. So I would expect over the next month, you're going to see this hardcore propaganda campaign to keep Newsom in office. Will that work? I don't think it'll be super effective necessarily, but I think it might kind of move the approval rating just in the few points that it needs for Newsom to narrowly survive. And we got a super chat right here. I shouldn't even acknowledge a super chat, but you did send me money, so I will acknowledge the super chat. VinceDao did 714, which is again a false statement. Sends me and he says, "We shall never forget 714." No, you shall forget 714 because once again, it didn't happen. But more importantly than that, I don't even think it's necessarily the fundraising that will be the big protector of Newsom, so much as it is the fact that Newsom is probably going to do a lot of things to try to improve his approval rating. I've looked into, apparently Newsom is going to be doing a stimulus check, a fourth whatever stimulus check in California. I think it's supposed to come like early September. So like literally days before the recall, he's gonna send out stimulus checks. So we'll see if that keeps him in power. And also you have to consider for the fact, right? We talk about turnout, and I'm not going to say anything that's like non-YouTube friendly, but we talk about turnout. And we talk about the fact that, the pro-recall people are just going to have way more energy than the anti-recall people. But the saving grace for Newsom might be the fact that it is California. And if you know anything about California elections, you know that mail-in balloting is huge here. Lots and lots of mail-in ballots, which is to say that might improve Newsom's turnout. We'll say that, right? It'll improve. It could improve his turnout a lot because, you're talking about people who generally weren't really going to show up, but now they're being mailed ballots and now they're probably going to vote in it, right? That's what the Democrat, that's a big reason why the Democrats, it is a Democrat state. Don't get me wrong. I'm not just going on some conspiracy theory that the electorate in California is Republican, but that is definitely something that helps Democrats a lot when it comes to turnout out here. So that is interesting to look at, right? And I think that is really what you have to factor into account when you say, well, the way the polls are looking, Newsom should basically probably even get recalled. Well, you do have to account for stuff like that. But what I did think was interesting too about this is, I'm not sure if it's mentioned in this article. Yeah, here you go. So among racial groups, Black and Asian voters were in favor of keeping Newsom. Cringe. White voters were evenly split. What was very interesting is polls are polls. It can be somewhat inaccurate, but you have polls showing that 54% of Hispanic voters said they would vote to remove Newsom. When it comes to ethnic groups, according to polls, with Hispanic voters, that's where the recall is most popular. Not even white voters, but Hispanic voters. And we love Hispanics, but we'll talk about this in a second. Let me go over some more super chats. Sam Matson says, you are in LA, right? What percent of LA will vote to recall based on what you see on the ground? I don't know that. I haven't really looked at the breakdown. But again, like I said, it's really just going to have to come down to turnout. That's what I'm most curious about. And it really is unpredictable. Like, you don't have a lot of precedent. I mean, we could look to like 2003 or something, but I would argue even the circumstances weren't the same. So like I said, turnout's going to be what's very interesting about this. Obviously, if you have kind of high turnout on both sides, you would expect. I mean, I'm sure Newsom will probably win LA narrowly, but it's like I said, what's going to be interesting is how the turnout actually goes for this. What I can tell, just what I can see on the ground, and also what I see a lot on TV. There's not a lot, like I said, there not been a lot of resources spent in favor of Newsom, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of energy in favor of Newsom, but we still have a month to go, and they're sitting on a lot of money. So we'll have to see, right? We'll have to see. But like I said, let's get back to this. So like I said, we love Hispanics, right? But see, this is really interesting to me. And there are a lot of reasons you could say that it is. Is it partially because of the general Hispanic red pill you're seeing in America? Sure. But I think also what this probably has a lot to do with has to do with, lockdowns and COVID-19 and issues like that, right? Because obviously, we know generally, actually, if you live in California, you might observe this too. Generally, Hispanics are not the most pro-lockdown group. I mean, that's what I would say about the issue. Generally, they've not been a group, and this is probably true nationwide. It's not super in favor of lockdowns. But when you also combine that with the fact that you're talking about a group that is very heavy on small businesses, right? A lot of them own small businesses, especially in California. Probably the majority of the small businesses, at least in a place like this, are owned by Hispanics, right? And obviously, you are dealing with the effects of that. You deal with the impact of that, and so among the Hispanics out here, you really think about it. It's not a huge surprise, but it is surprising to see, right? It's not something you generally expect to see, right? That you would expect to see Hispanics polling higher than white voters, and it is California. So I'm not saying this is something that's true nationwide, because it's not, but it's California. So you do have a lot of white liberals out here, but still, even then, it is very surprising to see something like this. Hispanic voters actually polling ahead of white voters when it comes to this, right? And also it's very surprising to see, because Democrats have a very strong political machine, specifically in this state when it comes to and basically everywhere, but especially in California. Traditionally, they have had this very strong political machine when it comes to Hispanics, right? They have all this messaging and stuff that's in Spanish, and you see it a lot. You kind of see the alliance here, right? And they make kind of illegal immigration this big issue, stuff like this. You're starting to, you cannot deny the fact that you're seeing 54% of Hispanics now on the side of the recall. That is definitely the case, that you are starting to see this political machine that Democrats were kind of run with Hispanics in California. You're starting to see it collapse a little bit, which is very interesting to see. And, this is people often say, well, like it's utterly impossible that, and by the way, I think the demographic thing obviously is going to have a very, very big effect on culture, and it's definitely going to change the country in unforeseeable ways. But I think this does kind of put a little bit of a wedge in the argument that it is necessarily has to be political suicide for Republicans. And we've done videos on this. We've done kind of like, well, here's how you can salvage it. I'm not even saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying that politically speaking, electorally speaking, there are kind of ways you can salvage it a little bit. And you're starting to see evidence of that. And it's not just, like I said, it's not just a South Texas thing. You're seeing it even in a place like California, right? I think according to exit polls are a little bit shaky, but what's also interesting, what we should also point out is, is this really necessarily an entirely conservative effort out here in California, right? And the answer to that really is no, because I think in California, this was a number I saw, but specifically, I think for Trump, Hispanic voters in California went from by like 30%. It was something like that, right? Somewhere along those lines. And you have 54% supporting the recall, which is which in terms of, now that's not necessarily a good thing in the sense that it's like, well, how much of this is this really going to translate to long-term Republican votes? But it is good news in the sense that it shows that in a generally more liberal state, right, you're seeing more than just, obviously conservatives are like 30% of the state. So you're going to need like that 20% or so more to really push it over the finish line. And you're starting to see that, right? And frankly, you are seeing some Democrats, registered independents. It actually is happening. There are many of them, many suburbanites, actually, as a matter of fact, that I notice, who are did not like Trump, are not really huge fans of Republicans overall necessarily, but are really getting on board with this Newsom recall. So we'll have to see. But what I will say again is that I think this has a lot better of a shot than most people will give it credit for. I'm not saying it's going to happen, right? There are a lot of factors, like I mentioned, that we'll have to see about. But I would say that if it were held today, and the turnout is kind of more natural as opposed to having to do with other stuff. I would actually predict that it is more likely than not that Newsom does get recalled, because if it is within 3 to 5 points, you account for turnout in the way the turnout's going to happen. You're probably looking at a successful recall. But again, we'll have to see. But anyways, the question then becomes if it does succeed, and like I said, it is kind of a long shot because it's California, and we should always be kind of conservative in our estimates in that shot. But again, something that I would actually say, judging by the way it's looking right now, does actually have a legitimate shot at happening. I'm not going to write it off as like just totally impossible, right? If it does succeed, who's going to win? Who's going to be the next governor? The issue, and I actually found this out recently, the wording on this is very confusing, but it is actually the case. Here's going to be the problem. The problem is the fact that, and this is very stupid, this literally makes no sense to me, but it is the case, that regardless of whether or not you vote, here's how the recall ballot works, right? It's all in one. So the top question is, recall Gavin Newsom, yes or no. You vote on that. And then the bottom is, if he is recalled, who should replace him? Now, we were basically all under the perception that only the people who vote yes to recall are going to be able to vote on the second ballot. It's actually not the case. You can vote against recalling Gavin Newsom and still vote on the replacement ballot, which is extremely stupid, but it is going to throw a pretty big wrench into this whole effort, right? Because and by the way, I think most people who vote against the recall will probably leave the replacement ballot blank, right? But it's going to be a question, really, will Republicans be able to win that recall ballot? It's really all going to come down to whether or not the people who vote no on the recall ballot, how many of them, right? We talk about turnout. Here's the second part of turnout. How many of them are actually going to vote on the replacement ballot? Most people, I would predict, are probably going to leave it blank. But if a bunch of them, if they make it a big voter education thing, which they haven't so far, but if they succeed in the voter education and say, hey, wait a minute, if you're against the recall, still, you got to vote for, what's his name? I think it's Saprith, right? Is his name? What is that guy's name? I know it's some Indian sounding sort of name, but let me see. But the main Democrat, he's kind of like a moderate Democrat, right? But this guy Saprath, whatever his freaking name is, I forgot. He could end up becoming the next governor based on all the no votes voting yes, right? And that is the problem. And so with that being said, it is actually a concern. It is actually a problem that there are too many Republicans in this race, right? Because, initially, and by the way, I was saying before, I was like, well, maybe it's not such a problem because, who's going to be voting on that recall ballot anyway? Mostly conservatives with a few independents here and there. But now if it is the case, as I found out, that the no votes can vote on the replacement ballot, now we're looking at a serious problem. And now we're looking at, well, are Republicans going to cannibalize their own votes, right? Because now it's probably going to be the case. Let's expect that this Democrat guy, this Saprith guy, I should probably look up his name so I know how to say it correctly, but the Democrat on the ballot, he'll probably get somewhere like 15 to 20% of the vote, I would guess, right? He's probably going to get something like that, right? Now, if all the Republicans got behind one candidate, easily we beat them, we win. The problem, of course, is that you have so many Republican candidates in the race. You got Faulkner, Cox, Larry Elder, obviously, Caitlyn Jenner, all these people. Are we going to be able to unite our votes enough? That's going to be the question. That's what's my concern is going to be. So with that being said, I still think it was a very good thing that Larry Elder got into the race. He's actually, let me tell you, initially, I know a lot of people, and I was kind of on this. I was like, well, isn't he too conservative? But when we really break it down, he's actually a good thing for the race. He's actually going to help Republicans a lot because now all of the hardcore conservatives have someone that they're going to be united on in the vote. And that's why I would say if you're going to vote in recall, just vote for Elder. And let me tell you why. Don't even try to be practical. Oh, he's too good. No, vote for him. And I'll tell you, this is why I say that's what you need to be doing. is because before, all of the loyal conservatives were actually kind of divided on who their candidate was going to be, right? Some are going to vote for Cox, some are going to vote for Faulkner, some are going to vote for Kevin Kiley. It was kind of split. You had even a few who were like more on the Jenner train, right? So it was kind of split. But now that Elder is in the race, all of the hardcore conservatives are really pulling behind him. They're really getting behind him more than anything. So I think Elder is actually going to be the most effective, and he's helping the race a lot in the sense that he's consolidating that hardcore conservative vote, right? And all he's going to need to win the recall is probably about between 20 and 30% of the vote. If Elder gets between 20 and 30%, he's probably going to win the recall most likely, because that's just how it works. It's a jungle primary. You don't need close to the majority of the vote, right? But but that's the thing. I don't think someone like, and I was behind Kevin Faulkner before. Kevin Faulkner was not going to be able to get that threshold of the vote. Neither was John Cox. Neither was Caitlyn Jenner. Neither were any of these people. But someone like Elder, right? He consolidates that conservative vote. So we'll have to see. But he actually is our best bet. He is our best bet. So I would say to California voters, don't try to say, well, Elder's too radical, isn't he? Let me vote for Faulkner or Cox or someone else, right? No. Vote for Elder, and that's why you have to do it. Just vote for him, because we need to be consolidating that vote. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see who wins the recall ballot. But it is a concern. It's definitely a concern that I have. I've got a super chat from Simeon Roban. Says, chat, I am the only good libertarian in fairness. Well, look, I don't know if that's the case. Let me say this. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. I'm not in the position to judge Simeon, but he did send a super chat. So inherently, he's more favorable in my opinion. So I will give you the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe you are the only good a good one. What's your economics? Do you believe in the automation fallacy? What exactly do you mean by the automation fallacy? But I'm not actually sure exactly what you mean by that. But I would guess by context, you're probably referring to like, well, do I think automation is going to be a good or a bad thing? And I will say, I think that automation probably is going to happen, but no, I'm not really a big fan of the way it's going to transform our country. I think that there's going to be mass. See, the biggest lie basically that I think we're told a lot is that the Industrial Revolution was just a clean thing. It was not. There was mass social upheaval. Socialism became increasingly popular in the United States, right? And there were riots. There was just social disorder, right? And I think you're going to see the same thing of the the same process in the automation revolution. And I frankly don't think that's a good thing. And maybe it is the case that like ultimately, right, our lives become better by like objective economic standards, but really I don't think it's something that's going to be a very good thing for a lot of people in our country. And long-term speaking, I will say, I don't think the automated lifestyle is something that is actually necessarily better for humans, even if it makes our lives easier, even if it makes the GDP better, right? I think increasingly we are moving further and further away from the way we are kind of designed to live, which, yeah, societal advancement sometimes technological advancement obviously makes lives better in a way, but you also will see, I think, a lot of mental health problems, right? You're going to see a lot of people kind of feeling this feeling of emptiness, this consumerist feeling of emptiness as a result of kind of the technological revolution. And, maybe humanity will make it through that, but I would argue you're also going to see a lot of issues because of it, So I'm really not the hugest fan of automation. Now, I do think, we should try to strive to improve economic productivity, and obviously automation is going to be a part of that. But I really think it's somewhere where we should tread very carefully. And I think we shouldn't prioritize progress necessarily over, the needs of a lot of working people in this country. And we should also consider, okay, fine, yeah, it improves productivity or it makes our life easier, but what are actually the effects of this going to be on people psychologically? So, not the biggest fan. I mean, I think in some ways we're just going to have to embrace it. In some ways it's probably going to benefit us here and there. But I think overall, it's really something we should hopefully at the very least do as slowly as possible. And overall, I don't know if it's necessarily even going to be a net positive in the grand scheme of things, maybe slightly, but I think there are enough net negatives to say we have to really do this carefully, right? Because what the result of not embracing a technological revolution carefully is literally the total upheaval. And I'm not even saying our system is in the best place right now, but the total upheaval of the current system, right? So you ended up, I mean, there are other outside factors, don't get me wrong, but something like the Soviet Union rose largely out of an ineffective handling of the technological revolution that was going on. So anyways, we'll get back to the recall stuff. I don't even remember what I was talking. What was I even talking? Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. All right. So that's one end of the recall. Like I said, now the question of winning the recall ballot, that's going to be tough, right? Now, obviously, most of the polls are showing, Elder way out in front and the Republicans way out in front. But most of these polls, I think they're asking the question along the lines of like, if you support the recall, who do you support to replace? That's the thing. Again, remember that the people who are voting no in this recall will also have the ability to vote on that recall ballot. Most of them probably won't know that they can, but if enough of them figure that out, we could be in trouble. And like I said, it's going to be tough because the conservative vote will be divided. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about briefly was oh my gosh. All right. So let me just say that a lot of people warned about Brad Parscale. Okay. Many people did. But you have this news coming out of the Caitlyn Jenner campaign, which, by the way, I think is polling at, what is it, like 3%? Literally at like 3%. I mean, so, people were like, oh, Jenner is going to do another Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? It's a celebrity. Perfect for California. Literally not the case. Yeah? Yeah. Is that why Jenner is polling at like 3%? Oh man, like I am so vindicated. I'm literally vindicated. Okay. I said so many times, it's not going to work. And what did I say? I said the coalition is basically going to collapse around Jenner. Vindicated yet again. By the way, I got a call. I remember amidst the Caitlyn Jenner stuff, I got a call from this guy. He's a friend, right? He's like, this is someone has like a lot of clout in politics, right? Like, I think probably does some political consulting, but definitely kind of grew up around like elections, right? Grew up in kind of that circle. And he was telling me like, listen, no, here's why Caitlyn Jenner is going to work, right? And so this guy apparently is the expert, right? Because he grew up around political campaigns and strategy and all this stuff. And he kind of, his family works in that stuff, right? So he calls me. He's like, dude, no, trust me. It's going to work in California. It's going to work, right? This is what you need. I was just telling him, no, it's not going to work. And he's like, no, you got to trust me, bro. I'm the expert. Get freaked. Okay, get freaked. Listen, I am vindicated, okay? You can grow up around politics and have your... I was right. You were wrong, buddy. All right. Anyways. No, we love that guy. But he was just wrong. He was just so wrong about this, And he was like, I know. No, you don't. You don't, buddy. Okay. No, you don't. Vince-Dow nationalism rules electoral politics, rules the political industry. It's just simply the case that this is true. Okay. So, all right, we got a super chat. 90% of the people used to be farmers. There isn't a 90% unemployment rate. The fallacy is automation destroying jobs. It opens up opportunities. Okay, specifically on this question, here's the problem I see with that. Now, obviously, there's not going to be like a 90. It's not going to be what if like, I don't know, 20% are truck drivers. You're not going to see a 20% unemployment rate. But here, the issue, I think, compared this industrial revolution to the last one, or this technological revolution, I should say, is the fact that you have to, yes, it is true. New jobs will open up, but the question is what kind of jobs are going to open up? You see, when it came to farming versus working in the factory, both were manual labor jobs, right? Both were like, if you worked on a farm, you could be competently trained into working on a factory. It's not that hard, right? Here's the problem is that when you look at the technological revolution, it is true where jobs in all this like retail service, the service sector and in trucking and all this stuff are taken away, right? Are lost. The new types of jobs that are going to be opened up are not going to be jobs where I think that those kinds of workers can so easily translate, because what kind of jobs are going to open up? You're going to see stuff like software engineering, right? Computer science, like stuff that requires not even just a normal college education, but like a college education in STEM, which we all know is very hard to acquire. It's very hard to attain. Even if you pay for them to go to college, it is just not going to be the case that all these truck drivers and all these like manual labor people are just going to be able to pick that stuff up. Like they're even going to have the agency. They're even going to be smart enough to learn those STEM style jobs, right? It's just not. That's why I would say it's not really the same. You're not talking about the same type of transformation, because whereas, yes, you move to the city, but you still work with your hands, basically. I think it's a lot different between that versus people who do work with their hands suddenly doing something that is very complex and requires a pretty complex education, and it's not a job that can be easily done with your hands. That's the problem. That's why I don't think necessarily you could compare it so easily. Anyways. You are spamming Bruce in the chat. We are on YouTube, okay? See, that's the thing. I'm a little bit more careful about the way I say it, okay? So it is strategy. You have to trust the plan. Just trust the plan, okay? Trust the plan. All right. We use the okay. Legally, it is his name. Now, I will say he. Okay, I will say he. Which I'm taking a risk doing. Okay, I have said she before just for guidelines purposes, but well, we will walk this a little bit tightly, okay? Okay, we'll walk this a little bit tightly. You guys, people MFers out here like, oh, say, okay, fine. We will say Bruce, okay? But just know, I'm sticking my neck out just to appear base to you, okay? It is just not it's not. I don't know how guideline friendly necessarily it is, okay? We got to be careful about this. But anyways, you look at the debt. His campaign has raised about $747,000 and has spent some $910,000. So literally, Bruce, okay, if you want me to say that, his campaign is literally hemorrhaging money. I mean, it's in debt here. By the way, what happened to I forgot who even told me this. But it was another political insider person saying, oh, well, his campaign's raised like $5 million. What happened to the $5 million? Where is that? It might have even been more than that. I think they said, oh, he raised like 20 million. I just remember someone telling me that. It mysteriously disappeared. Okay. And apparently they have roughly 21,000 on hand for the race's critical final stretch. That is what we're dealing with. So 156,000 in unpaid bills, 21,000 left. Here, let this be a lesson as to why, I wonder who's managing the Caitlyn Jenner or the Bruce Jenner campaign, by the way. Yeah, here you go. The campaign has sent about 67,000 to Parscale Strategy LLC. The firm ran by former Trump campaign strategist Brad Parscale. Well, there you go. Hey, I wonder why you're hemorrhaging money. I wonder why you're polling at 3%. Aside from the fact that nobody likes you, well, maybe it's the fact that Brad Parscale is managing your campaign. And that I was pretty red pilled on the whole Brad Parscale thing for basically since like September or October of last year. But let that be another lesson, okay? Because that was another thing I heard in defense of this happening, this campaign. But Brad Parscale is managing it, right? It's going to be good because, we have Brad Parscale, right? And he's a Trump guy. Like, no, wake up, buddy. Okay, the fact that Brad Parscale was managing this campaign was not a good thing, and it certainly was not an indicator that like, well, we can trust Jenner. No, you can't. It is the opposite. Okay, Brad Parscale basically, in many ways, screwed up Trump's 2020 campaign. I mean, you look at where it could have been, and it is true. Let me just say, Trump got rid of him for a reason, demoted him, whatever, for a reason. But it was frankly too little, too late. And really, I mean, it appalls me. It appalls me that anyone in the conservative movement would put trust in the same guy who basically put together that unmitigated disaster that was the turnout at the Tulsa rally. Are we forgetting that? Remember that? Remember the disaster that was the Trump campaign from basically like March to more or less June or July when he finally got it together? Yeah, who was running it? Brad Parscale. Stop shilling for this guy. Stop pretending like this guy is even a good political strategist. He's not. He's not. He's terrible. And the fact that freaking Jenner puts his trust in someone like Parscale should have been a red flag from the start. I was saying it was a red flag from the start. People didn't believe me, but here we go, yet again vindicated. All right. We literally only take W's. Okay, so we hate to see it. Don't trust Parscale. We need to get Parscale out of this movement entirely. Okay, I don't know. I don't even care. Yeah. I guess it's kind of base that he sabotaged a campaign I didn't like, but still, I don't even. Why is this guy remotely still credible? I mean, why? And I know Trump didn't do a huge formal condemnation of him, but even Trump clearly saw that this guy was wrong. That this guy is a terrible campaign manager. Why is this guy able to have a communications firm or a consulting firm that gets paid almost $100,000 in order to do what? All right. So we hate to see it. We kind of like to see it in a way, but we kind of hate to see it as well. But hopefully this is the last gasp of Brad Parscale. I mean, yeah, he made a lot of money on this Jenner thing, but hopefully it is the case. Let's pray that it is the case that when his campaign is at like 2-3% in the polls, let us hope that it is the case that is the last we're going to hear about Brad Parscale. Okay, but anyways, it's very funny. You know what you guys look like in the chat right now. You guys look like an InfoWars comment section. I'm not even gonna lie. It's just what it is. It looks like an InfoWars comment section. I mean, in its own way. Okay, so. I'm just checking if I'll make sure we didn't get any super chats. Oh, we did. We got one from Asher. Vindicated once again. It is just so true. It's just so true. I told you. I called it. I made a big deal out of this too because I just did not want to see people get behind this, and I knew. Listen. It wasn't even a red flag. There were plenty of other red flags about it, but when I saw that Brad Parscale was also managing the campaign, like I also knew that it was just going to be a disaster. Okay, Brad Parscale. How did Brad Parscale even get to power? First of all, I'm kind of curious about that now. How the heck did this guy ever get hired by any campaign? I mean, the guy's clearly incompetent. The guy's clearly a grifter. You know, what did he ever do? What did he ever do that was positive? I mean, seriously. So, you know, Alex Jones was proven right. No, that is true. He actually did get proven right again today. So, Trado 2015 says, I tried to give objectivism an opportunity. Until today, I learned that Ayn Rand was fiercely pro-abortion, libertarian moment. It is true. No, but listen, you should not have been giving objectivism a case to begin with. You know why objectivism is also bad? Because it's godless, okay? Ayn Rand was an atheist. And I know the Ayn Rand Institute tries to say, well, you know, you can be a Christian or religious and still be an objectivist. But it is a little bit shady to me if the very ideology was founded off of an atheist worldview, right? And frankly, objectivism also just is highly idealistic. I think, and that's part of the problem. I think, you know, it's a liberal ideology, so it rejects the natural state of human nature, right? It's very idealistic in that sense. And so I think as a result of that, you kind of you get this assumption from the sort of objectivist worldview that human beings are, you know, naturally irrational. I mean, naturally are irrational and are naturally good, which is just not the case. Like it's just very false. And I think if you subscribe to a more religious worldview or a more Christian worldview specifically, like, you know, like we are sinners, we are flawed, we are not perfect, and we are not inherently rational, right? We are very flawed human beings, but objectivism kind of starts from this atheist liberal assumption that, like, well, no, human beings are objectively and not just objectivism specifically, but kind of libertarian thinking in general, whether it's economics or not economics, right? Starts from that more liberal worldview of what human beings are and how human beings behave. That is just not reality. So I think that's the difference between conservatism and liberalism. Fundamentally, it's yeah, there are these like ideological differences, but it really boils down most fundamentally to your view on human nature, right? And it is more the liberal view that well, humans, if we actually, as a matter of fact, if we more liberate ourselves from what we perceive to be human nature, that's where the word liberal kind of comes from, right? If we liberate ourselves, then we will become, and we liberate ourselves from kind of the natural order of things and the natural hierarchy of things, we will become free. We will live better lives. Whereas the conservative view is more of it's like, no, there's this kind of natural hierarchy. There's this natural state of human nature. And we are better off when we subscribe more to our own nature and kind of stick within that than try to liberate ourselves and try to reject the natural order of things, right? So, when you really break it down, things like classical liberalism, that's why it's called classical liberalism, objectivism, they subscribe to liberal worldviews, not conservative ones. So, and this is a great comment right here. They try to attribute all flaws in humanity to the results of the system and not anything else. That's why they believe in blank slate theory. The one from very liberal John Locke. Absolutely. I mean, this is just perfect. You hit it right on the head, It's just so true. They try to argue, well, the reason why human beings act irrational is because they weren't just raised properly, or they aren't brought up, or the system lies to them. But they never really acknowledge that partially human beings act in this way. They act irrationally. They act without good because naturally human beings are not perfect. Right? We are sinners. We are flawed. We were born flawed, and we're going to die flawed. Right? None of us are perfect. None of us are fully rational. None of us are fully, absolutely, morally good. Right? We are not. That is not who we are as human beings. So, and yeah, it is true about blank slate theory as well. It's blank slate theory is just it's not. And I used to subscribe to it, by the way. Pretty hard, but you really look at this more tightly. It's just not true. It's not reality, and that's all I'll say about it. Okay, let's just say it's not reality. Vince, can I get an amazing? Okay, listen. That's basically stealing Jesse Lee's thing. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it, but I will say it. Okay, amazing. There you go. There's your amazing. That's how he says it, right? We love Jesse Lee. Jesse Lee Peterson is... what's very funny about him, too, is like, when I first watched him for the first time, I was kind of just like, who is this guy? He sounds kind of like... That's the thing, too, is because Jesse doesn't sound like the smartest initially just by like the way he speaks, but then you actually listen to what he's saying. He's like a genius, right? Jesse Lee is like a freaking genius, an extremely intelligent guy. And I think that's what's almost sort of brilliant about his presentation is he kind of presents himself almost as like this borderline like comedian almost, but he's kind of like this less serious figure. But then when you actually listen to what he's saying, it's just highly intelligent. I mean, he's a genius guy. So, we'd love to see it. We love Jesse Lee Peterson. Absolute legend. Richard Nixon Mapping says, Vince, can you help me do Watergate 2? It will be an amazing sequel. Okay, we got this guy literally Fed posting, okay? No Fed posting in chat. We hate to see it. And the answer is no. That is like the biggest Fed post I've ever seen. No, not gonna tolerate it. Not gonna subscribe to that, We hate to see it. I'm a 714 conspiracy theorist. Yeah, exactly. You know what? I'm cool with that because at least you acknowledge it's that you are a conspiracy theorist. At least you acknowledge that what you believe in is basically wacko. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine. Call yourself a 714 conspiracy theorist all you want. I don't even care. So. And it is so true. You must all hit join now to help Vince defeat the 714 conspiracy theorists. It's so true. It's so true. Help us fight the 714 conspiracy theory. Hit the join button. In fact, that's what I will do. I will make an exclusive members-only video as one of the members-only videos titled "What Happened on 714?" What really happened on 714? We will tell the truth. But the only way to see that truth is to become a member. So that's what you're going to have to do. It's what you're going to have to do. And you get exclusive badges, by the way. Sam Madsen says, Vince already did Watergate 2. It was 714. No. Literally no. Okay, not the case. I am innocent. Okay. You know what? Fine. I will accept that in the sense that, just like Richard Nixon actually in reality is innocent. Okay, I'll go on a limb and say that. Just like our boy Nixon didn't do nothing, I didn't do nothing either. But I'm being falsely framed by a radical regime that is inherently just like Nixon, that is inherently anti-American and wants to destroy our country, and it has a lot of power and a lot of pull. And I'm being framed by those people, just like Nixon. I am literally Nixon. Okay. I can't even do it fully, but it is just so true. That is me. That is me. We are the same. I sympathize with Nixon a lot because I'm getting the same treatment. It's just so true. It's just so true. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, yeah. Watergate was Nixon's fault. Oh, 714 is so true. You see how similar those two statements sound? You see how they're basically one and the same? Okay. I'm getting Nixon right now. Okay. Just like Nixon got screwed, I'm getting screwed. It is just so true. It's just the case. I am literally Nixon. Okay. I am Richard Nixon. I would tweet that out. I should tweet that out. I should say I am the new Richard Nixon. It is so true. Richard Nixon mapping says I've lost. Richard Nixon mapping is Fed posting, so I'm not gonna tolerate that. Not saying I'm gonna ban you from chat, but I'm just not gonna acknowledge it. No, you're Fed posting. You're Fed posting. You're literally Fed posting. Vince Dow 1968. So true. So true. Vince identifies as Richard Nixon. No, he literally does. He literally does. It is literally the case. It is literally the case. Okay. 714, it is a cope. It never happened. It's just so true. It's literally the case. I'm joining the 714 commission now, Vince. Wow. So bipartisan. We got the Fed. We got the Fed joining the 714 commission. Hate to see it. Wow, Vince, as a valedictorian, you should have better grammar. No, bad grammar nationalism. Let's go. 714 is the new. This is just so false. This is just so false. It is just literally not the case. Okay. It is because Clinton was actually guilty with a Lewinsky. I'm telling you, it is Watergate. Okay. It is Watergate. We ain't do nothing. We ain't doing nothing. We ain't resigning. And even though we're trying to be framed, and the show goes on. There is a bipartisan 714 commission. It is not bipartisan. Okay, a bipartisan 714 commission would be one that doesn't exist because it never happened. It never happened. Okay. Richard Nixon mapping says rep tell Real American to read more Nixon lore. Yeah, I'll tell them that you should read more Nixon lore. Demand Dow lore. It is so true. We do need Dow lore. The show goes on, starts playing. It is so true. It is so true. It's not even if they try to ban us. It is even if they try to frame us. Okay, even if they try to frame us. In the words of Richard Nixon, the show goes on. The show is going on. Okay, it's so true. All right, Vince Dow will defeat 714 like Vince McMahon defeated the U.S. government at court. So true. What a solid statement right there. What a solid statement. Nixon was framed and Kennedy was a commie. It is literally the case. Death of the West should be a mandatory read on high school and college. It is so true. Or Suicide of a Superpower. I feel like Suicide of a Superpower is a little bit more modern, so it's just a more easily applicable book to people who are our age. But it is so true. It is so true. Hold on, give me a second here. All right, Tricky Dick 2. Is that me? Is that who I am? Am I Dick Nixon? We need the 714. No, we just. What does that even mean? The 714 Empire. What is that empire even based off of? It's just so false, so false. Red Eagle Politics is my founder. We probably knew this already. Okay. Rep is probably secretly behind the 714 commission anyway. I mean, that's just not surprising. Put Nixon on the green screen. The green screen doesn't really work on stream actually, but let's see. Richard Nixon. The one of the best red pill, one of the biggest red pills, I think. Like I don't want to say that in a cringe way, but like the way one of the biggest red pills for like conservatives to ultimately swallow is the realization that And Richard Nixon wasn't perfect. I don't like idolize him or anything, but the realization that Richard Nixon was actually a much better president than Reagan was, and had he been allowed to finish out his term, we might be in a lot better place as a country right now, because I think he really did do a lot of good for the political system. And that's not to say he was perfect. I mean, opening up trade to China, the gold standard, like I don't think those were good moves by him. But overall, a very underrated guy in my opinion. And a guy who was really, in many ways was falsely screwed over by the system. And it's just so true. All right, hold on. Let us attempt to see if the green screen works. I'm going to try it. Let's see if it actually ends up succeeding here. All right, let's see if this works. I don't know if it's going to work that well. All right. And 3, 2, 1. Is it going to work? Let's see. It's probably I probably can't keep it on because it's going to lag a lot, but there you go. I'm not going to keep this on because I'm sure the stream's probably lagging a little bit, but there you go. All right. That is me, and that is literally my predecessor right there. It is just so true. It is so true. All right. All right, so there you go. You got it. Based 702 says, Vince, we all know 714 happened. Well, thank you for the $10, but you're just wrong. All right. Vince, we all know 714 happened. I believe this is the end of your career. That is a bold statement. Way worse than Cuomo. Well, let me first of all say, if you're going to compare, now I don't like the comparison to Cuomo, obviously, but if you're going to compare me to Cuomo, let me say that Cuomo is not going anywhere. Okay. Cuomo is not exactly going to be resigning himself. I mean, I don't think he's going to be running for re-election, but let's be honest. Cuomo is not leaving office, and I'm not saying I'm anything like him, but very much like that, I will not be leaving either. My career is doing just fine. Okay, I'm not trying to say that I'm anything like Cuomo, because I'm not. But if you're going to make that comparison, let it be pointed out that Cuomo's not exactly going to be leaving office. So that's kind of a self-own in a way. Okay, and as for your first statement, 714 did not happen. Okay, that is just so false. It is just so false. All right, it's the equivalent of Watergate. That's what it is. It's Watergate again. All right. Yeah. Vince Dow did 714, but Shishak Yalamanchi did 711. All right. Well, no, actually, the first part of that statement is false. The second part is true. I had nothing to do with 711. It was clearly Shishak Yalamanchi, 711 is actually entirely different lore. But it's only lore that me and Rep know. It is lore that you do not know. The fans don't know it, but me and Rep know it. That is a different incident, okay? And that is an incident that I actually was involved with. But we're going to officially blame Shank, okay? We're going to officially blame Shank with what happened there. Let's go. He did Nixon green screen. So true. Was it actually that laggy? Wait, wrong one. This comment I meant to pin. Was it actually that laggy? Because if it wasn't too laggy, you could probably keep it, but I was kind of scared that it was going to lag. You say 711 exists, but not 714. Oh, the hypocrisy, Vince Dow. It's not hypocrisy. 711 does exist. 714 doesn't exist. Okay. So there's no hypocrisy there. It is just fact. It's just fact. Okay. It's just fact. That's it. It's no, you're a hypocrite. No, because one happened and one didn't. That's the difference. That is literally the difference. Rep says, I didn't even mean the actual 714 lore when I said that. I was just making an ethnic joke. No, I know you were. I know you were. But, it is a double entendre. Okay, it works. It works both ways. So, we do blame Shank for all of it, essentially. 714 is a ploy to destabilize the Vince Dow nationalism empire. It is so true. It is so true. And so that's why I say if you are spreading 714, you are counter signaling me, and I don't appreciate it. And you're not going to be invited to the Vince Dow nationalism gladiator games. You're not invited. So It is so true. We love Thompson Spence. He says 714 is a baseless conspiracy theory that will undermine democracy. It's so true. So true. Okay. But yeah, we'll keep the stream going for a few more minutes here. I probably have to do something tonight. I'm thinking. I'm not sure. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll keep the stream going for a few more minutes here. So if you want to send in, some final super chats, trying to claim that I 714 is real. Feel free. Go ahead. Be my guest. Okay. Make my day. Okay. VinceDao must embrace 714 to own the libs. Oh, really? And tell me how that would own the libs. And how exactly would it own the libs to embrace a conspiracy, to literally cave to the mob, and embrace an issue that never happened. Okay, VinceDao streams have the best chats. It's so true. Thoughts on Chris Sky videos? I don't even know who he is. Okay, I'm not going to read that, but VinceDao, what are you going to cover up next? Literally nothing. I've never covered up a single thing in my life. Okay, I am wholly transparent, and it is just wholly transparent. It's just the fact, and it's just a case that 714 again didn't happen. All right. Can VinceDao nationalists ally with Nixon nationalists? Absolutely. That is something I'm fine with. Okay. In fact, I'm not just fine with it. I encourage it. We love Richard Nixon on this channel. At VinceDao, what do you think about the green screen as a donation structure? That actually would not be bad. We could do that. If you send in super chats, I'll change the green screen to what you want. But then again, all right, I know what people are going to do. I know what you guys are going to do. You guys are going to want me to change the green screen to something totally unoptical and then be like, hey, yeah, I say you money. You have to do it. So I'm willing to do this, but within reason, okay? Within reasonable bounds, okay? I don't know if that's the best idea. I don't know if that's actually the best idea. 624 never... I don't even know what 624 is. Thoughts on 628? I don't even... We're just making up numbers at this point. I don't even know what this stuff is. Actually, it's very ironic, too. On the 1 month anniversary of 714, that is... of 714, quote-unquote, that's actually the day that I leave for Florida. Okay, that's actually the day I begin my move, which I've not even started, by the way. That's not good. Should probably get to packing pretty soon. But it is whatever. We will make it, okay? We will make it. Just trust the plan. All right? I am a procrastinator, yes, but still trust the plan. VinceDao at 714 says 714 green screen now. Really? So let me see. You only sent me $2, which I appreciate, but it was only $2, and you're not even a member. But you're demanding that I once again change the green screen to something unoptical. Are you? I don't know. I don't know if I'm really willing to do that. I don't know. And what would it even be? How do you even change the green screen to 714? The green screen is 714 right now because the green screen is nothing. Okay, the green screen is no background, just like 714 is literally nothing. So I actually did do that. So all right. Hold on, give me a second. I'm getting a phone call. Hold on. All right. So we did have plans for tonight. All right. So with that being said, I'm gonna wrap up the stream in about we'll go for 2 more minutes. Okay, exactly 2 minutes. We're gonna end at exactly 7:07. So you can getting your final arguments about freaking 714. What is your ringtone, Vince? Well, my ringtone for my mom is you guys know the Stewie thing from Family Guy where remember he was like mom, mommy. That's the ringtone for my mom. It's a great ringtone. I don't understand why that's not why you say WTF is your ringtone. It's a brilliant ringtone. It's what everyone's mom ringtone should be. Richard Nixon Mapping says read Nixon lore. That's not even my thing. That's Rap's thing. He should read it. And you need to be original and make up your own lore for this channel, okay? Which I suppose is probably the 714 lore. That's really what it is. Gorgie says Vince now has red pilled me on 714. 714 was a radical liberal conspiracy theory. So true. I mean, so true. We love to see it. His ringtone is 714. No, then my ringtone would just not be any noise at all. It just wouldn't be any noise at all. If I could add anyone to Mount Rushmore, who would it be and why? I don't know. My favorite president is probably Coolidge, but I don't know if he's really Mount Rushmore worthy. So I'd probably just say someone like Trump, just to like. I mean, it would be pretty epic to have Trump on Mount Rushmore, to be honest. So I'll probably just say Trump. Or no, Richard Nixon. There you go. We'll add Nixon to Mount Rushmore. That would just be, it would just be amazing. That would be the greatest thing ever, to be honest. The 714 lie is Asian hate. Stop Asian hate. So true. So true. You're literally gonna get striked. No noise on your ringtone, just like how there was no noise on. Not funny. Didn't laugh. Bro, I'm not wheezing right now. I'm not having a good time. I'm not laughing right now. So we admit, no, it's not true. Not true. That's not what I meant. Nope. Out of context, taken out of context. Not true. False. All right. It's just not the case. 714 is an LA area code. It is. No, it's not. Is it actually? It's not my area code. I can tell you that. Was saying 714 is real make you racist? Yes. Literally, yes. It makes you all the meaty words. All right. Racist, anti-Semitic, like all of them. Okay. All of them. All right. Anyways, guys, it's 7:07, so I gotta go. I will wrap up the stream tonight. All right. I'll see you guys. I'll have a video out tomorrow. It'll probably be a video, not a stream, but I have a video out tomorrow. It is a good video. I'm very, very, very pissed off that the rendering time on my computer just screwed up today's video, but we had fun. All right. We got to have the little 714 debate. All right. But anyways, guys, I gotta go. I'll see you guys with a video tomorrow. And I'll see you guys after that. I'll see you guys next week with a lot to come. All right. The Florida move is imminent. All right. So we might slow down a little bit, but to be honest, we love the grind. I'm on my grind set. But yeah, see you guys later. Have a good night and peace.